This is Andi Purewal for Boxing Social in association with Betfred, and I'm delighted to be joined by heavyweight contender Fabio Wardley over Zoom. Fabio, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you doing, mate? How's things?
I'm good. It's good to speak to you. As we've briefly said, mate, it's good to be able to do this interview. I know, obviously, usually you speak to Rob Tebbett. How's life? How's things going?
Yeah, everything's good, mate. Everything's good. Everything's good. Just moving along, training, cracking on, getting through. Bit more fortunate than most because I'm still able to go to the gym and do everything else. But yeah, mate, just getting through like normal, just cracking on.
Fabio, just you say there you feel more fortunate. Kind of going back to when the pandemic first hit. We've seen it still. A lot of boxers are struggling to get out. Do you feel kind of a sense of fortune in that respect as well, that you've been able to get yourself out, you've been able to get onto shows and to continue to progress your career effectively?
Yeah, of course, massively. Massively. And that's big thanks to obviously my manager, Dillian White, and Eddie Hearn as well, being able to push on, still put on shows and still kind of crack on with things. And I was fortunate enough to be on the first kind of the first show back, the fight camp week 1. And then got another one later the year as well. So yeah, I just feel massively grateful. Like I'm like one of my stable mates from the gym, he fights more small hall shows and he hasn't been able to fight for a year and a half, I think coming up to almost 2 years now. And it's just that level of inactivity is just so painful to your game and to your development, and just it's really hard to kind of get out of that. But circumstances at the moment, it just is what it is, unfortunately.
At the same time, Fabio, do you feel a pressure to impress as much as possible when you are stepping into the ring, because you want to ensure that you are continuing to get these opportunities and also to push yourself maybe a bit further, as we've seen Eddie speaking about he wants to try and make more evenly matched fights from when the pandemic first hit, because we're seeing fewer fights on the cards now. Do you feel the pressure when you step into the ring more so than before the pandemic?
There was always pressure. I always put that on myself. I always wanted to impress. I always felt like, because of my boxing background or even lack of, that I always had a bit more to prove than someone else. But more so probably now more than ever, just with everything that's happening. And that's why I've been taking the fights that I've been taking, the harder ones, the more riskier ones, the more challenging ones, because like Eddie said that first week, no easy fights no more. It's not about like just knocking someone over in a round or two and kind of moseying on through. It's about putting yourself through real tests and challenges. And at a time like this, where kind of the only real escapism for everyone at home is the sports on the telly, whether that be football or boxing or whatever it is, you need to put on a show. And the best way to do that is good competitive fights.
Let's move on to your next fight then, Fabio. Obviously, Eric Molina, former title challenger, on March 6th on the White Povetkin bill, well, White Povetkin 2 bill. Just talk to me about, firstly, where that fight first came from, because I don't think many would have expected this name for yourself at this stage of your career.
Yeah, Eric Molina is a name that I've mentioned to Dillian, the guys, in the past. That we've spoken about previously. There was never really any talks about it, because at the time when I was mentioning his name, I was talking about a few others. We was in the middle of trying to sort out Lucas Browne, trying to get that done and dusted. So I wasn't really paying that too much mind. And then obviously we tried again with the Lucas Browne thing in January time, and it just got more hassle than it was worth. So we kind of binned that idea off. And then the Eric Molina idea came back around, because he was originally scheduled to step in with Babic. But obviously Babic had his shoulder thing he needs to get sorted and stuff. So it just kind of worked out pretty well that on Molina's side, Babic had to pull out. And on my side, Lucas Browne pussied out. So it just left a space for us each to jump in with each other. And it was great. He was game straight away. We put it straight to him. He said yes, no messing around, no faffing about. And we got straight to it.
When you watch Eric now, what do you believe he still has left? Because unfortunately, such as the times, you'll always receive criticism, whether no matter what level you fight at. And I remember a couple of people kind of tweeting yourself saying I don't really feel that Eric offers you much, and he won't offer you much on the night when you're in the ring with regards to kind of a competitive standpoint. But what do you think that you'll be in store for come March 6th from Eric?
I think Eric Molina realizes that he's in the real twilight of his career, and that's when someone's at their most dangerous, when they're at the last bit, they're backed up against the wall, and they realize like this is kind of the be all and end all. This is the last dance, and he literally DM'd me saying exactly that. Funnily enough, he DM'd me saying, "Look, like good." Well, I messaged him saying, "Good luck, train well, we'll see you in March," and he said, "Yeah, you too, but." Like, don't take this lightly. Like, I'm training hard. This is my last one. I'm coming for you, kind of thing. So, he's already let me know that that's his game plan, is to come and put it on me, and I'm looking forward to that. I'm ready. Like, as much as, don't get me wrong, he's not the Eric Molina of 3, 5, however long years ago, but you don't lose that experience. All of them years and all of those years of figuring out opponents and learning how to weather storms and weather punches and going into the deeper rounds and being comfortable and all them things. He's ticked those boxes 3, 4, 5 times over. So he knows exactly how to do it. With someone like me, I've had 10 fights. That is it. And I had 4 white collar fights. So I've had a total of 14 fights. The geezer's, he's fought for a world title twice already. So like the comparisons between us are wide, yeah, but athletically, okay, cool. I've got the advantages, but you can't put a price on experience.
With all of that in mind, Fabio, come March 6th, if you are victorious, where does kind of that leave you and your plans for the remainder of this year?
Just activity. That's all. Just busy, and just activity. And then obviously, at some point this year, I want another bit of silverware. Whether that be the British title, European, possibly Commonwealth, something like that, in around them kind of 3 regions. Whether it's one of those 3, great. I'm not too like I don't feel like I'm too forced into going down the straight path of English, British, blah blah blah, down that straight line. I just want to pick up some belts and also pick up some more experience. I want to stay busy. I want to stay active. And again, just no easy fights. Whatever fights, whether it is for a belt or not, the fights I will be in will be challenging. They won't be easy. So that's what I'm looking forward to most.
Are there any names which you've got your eye on, certainly at least domestically, anybody who pops out who you think get through March 6th? I'd like to face them next.
There's no one I'm particularly looking at or even calling out or anything. The only one that is in any real contention and our names have been brought back and forth is me and Nathan. And that's only just because of the British title looks like it's going to free up sometime soon. And the only real 2 front runners for that are me and him. It's just a logical kind of fight. That's the only reason. There's no animosity between me and Nathan. So I think he's a great guy and a great boxer. I've spent a couple of weeks up in his training camp when he was getting ready for Daniel and stuff. So I got to know him a bit. But there was nothing in it at all. It's just 2 guys that are good and at a good level and may possibly meet for the British title if that gets called or if that comes around.
Now, if we see a lot of people kind of talk about the British title and what it would mean for them to win it, are you somebody who is the British title something that you would love to win, or is it something that you feel if it was for the better of your career, you could kind of just move on from depending on what opportunities were presented to you?
Yeah, I think it just depends what's around at the time. Like, don't get me wrong, I love the British title, I love the look of it. It's a prestigious belt. It's great on all fronts. But if a better opportunity comes up, if a bigger opportunity comes up, or that's just not available at the time where maybe another one is, then I'm going to go for what's in front of me and what's best for me in my career. Like I say, I'm not trying to go down a specific route or line. It's just taking it, especially now with everything how it is, to try and plan ahead and do something is just so hard. So it's just about, I think, just taking it as it comes and going with what's in front of you.
Fabio, just another name I want to touch on with regards to yourself. You mentioned him earlier, Lucas Browne. Can you just explain to everybody what happened with regards to that situation and the fight that happened?
I'm sick of him and I'm sick of talking about him as well. He's just like I say, with the Eric Molina thing, like the team called him and within I think even either on the phone call or within a few days, he just said yes. And that was it. It was done. No messing around, no faffing, none of this, none of that. And then with Lucas Browne, it was just, we tried to get it done the first time, ready for the November card that that I was fighting on, kind of Ben Formella. We tried to get it done for them, and he was giving it the big one on social media and blah, 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 and that all went on. And there was a lot of little details and blah, blah, blahs he wanted sorted and wanted this and wanted that. So we got them all. We got him everything he asked for. And then about 2 weeks, week and a half before, he pulls out of that one. And it was just leaves us kind of in the lurch a bit and is annoying and whatever. But then second time around, even to be fair, against most of my team's advice, they were like, don't waste your time with this again. But I wanted to push for it. I didn't, to be fair, it annoyed me more that the first time around that he wasted my time. So that's why the second time around, I was more like, I want to fucking smash your face in. But then again, we tried to go through it again. And he was even at the point where he was messaging me saying, let's get it on, let's get it sorted, DMing me saying, let's get this done, let's get it done. And I'm saying, cool, like I've always been on board. It's you that's been fucking around. Like, it's not me. So we were going through that again, trying to get it sorted. And he was getting impatient with things and getting upset with different things again. And he was moaning about the UK because of how the lockdown is here and stuff. And I was we were trying to explain to him that there's a lockdown, but it's not a problem. Like, we've boxed through it before and we're going to box through it again. There's shows planned, everything's booked, everything's done. Just take your money and show up, kind of thing. And again, same problems. And he did the same thing. But this time around, we didn't want to get to the same situation where just before he decided to pull out. So we kind of gave him a set date and said, look, if you're in, you're in. If not, don't worry about it. There's elsewhere we can go. Like, you're not. He seems to have this very high opinion of himself, of where he still seems to think he's like at world title level, or he's still kind of the A side and everything, and that he deserves a lot more than he thinks he deserves a lot more than he actually does. So there was just a lot of ego from his side in that negotiation, and it just wasn't worth it in the end. So we just sacked it off, and now I've got Aaron Molina.
Fabio, with all that in mind, we put a clip up the other day of Alan Babbage saying that he'd like to face Lucas Browne when he recovers from his injury. Lucas actually replied on in the Instagram DMs for Boxing Social saying after around July time, he'd be free and he'd be up for it.
Yeah, I bet he did.
Kind of a double-edged sword with it. Let's say if a fight between them happened, I know you'd be happy for Alan to get another fight, a fellow managed fighter by Dillian White like yourself, but would there be a sense of frustration if you was to see Lucas step in with Alan, or do you think it's just more talk on the back of what you're saying to me now?
No, I'll be fine, because I know Alan would absolutely smash his face in, so I wouldn't mind at all. That wouldn't bother me at all. Like, for me on my side, I don't do all the time wasting. If you're in, you're in. If you're not, you're not. If you want to fuck me around, then go elsewhere and do that. But if it just so happens that the Alan Babbage fight gets made, I've got no problem with that. I will be ringside with my Babbage Savage sign, waving it around and watching his face get pummeled into the ground. Like, I'll be fine. I'll be more than happy with that. It wouldn't bother me at all. Either I get him or Babbage gets him. We're from the same team, same camp. We're brothers. It's no different. At least he got.
Fabio, just to move away from that and obviously yourself, to touch on Dillian getting ready now for that Povetkin rematch. How is he looking, and how much pressure do you think is on Dillian to make sure that he's successful this time around?
Yeah, he's looking great. He hasn't left the gym since about a week or two after the first fight. He's just been out there in Portugal training his ass off, doing what he does, staying away from distractions and just staying focused. And yeah, there's a bit more pressure on this one around, because then if on the off chance that he does lose again second time, then there's more questions raised, and where does he go from there? Obviously, that brings a bit more kind of angst to the whole situation, but I know he's comfortable in it all. He takes everything in his stride like that. All he's focused on is getting the job done on the night, and he knows in himself that he can do it. It's just some very small, slight adjustments that needed to be made, and I've got no doubt that he's doing that in camp.
And final thought I just want to touch on with you, Fabio, not one which has been confirmed or nothing, just something that's been talked about, Alexander Usyk and Joyce. If we did see that one rubber stamped, what are your thoughts, but if the pair were to meet?
It's a great fight. Like I say, they fought in the amateurs, or the WBSS or wherever it is. So yeah, it'd be a really good fight. And to be honest, they're both got absolute engines. That's the thing as well. There'd be so much action in it that they're just, because Joe is obviously known for just having a pure just go mentality, and Usyk the same. He just exhausts his opponents. He doesn't stop. Just keeps out punching them, keeps out working them. So it'll be very good and very interesting to see kind of which engine comes out on top.
Right, Fabio, we will leave it there now and leave you to enjoy the rest of your day. But as I always like to do, I'm going to leave a final word to yourself. If there's anything you'd like to say to, obviously, the people who have followed your journey so far, the people who will begin to follow your journey this year, what would you like to say to them?
Just thank you to everyone that's been with me throughout the journey from when I started to now, and now we're on bigger stages and bigger fights and things, and there's so much more to come. I'm really now stepping into them bigger fights and on them bigger stages, and it's only going to get bigger and better from here. So thank you and stay tuned.
Fabio, it's been a pleasure to catch up with you. Hopefully it's not the last time this year and Rob Tebbett keeps you all to himself. I appreciate your time, mate. Thank you for speaking to Boxing Social.
Cheers, Andy. Catch you in a bit, bud.